Really? Believe we shall. Hmm. Oh yeah, some nice straight lines here. Little paint goes a long way, especially for cut-in, particularly for cut-in. A little bit goes a long way. If you've never done it before, just trust me. You do not want that much paint on your brush, um, particularly because you don't want it to drip, you don't want it to run. Don't want any of that happening. It's not preferred. I promise. It's no good. But if you're going to do it right, do it once, because I don't know anybody that enjoys doing this more than they have to. Paint is up there with tile in terms of things that I absolutely do not enjoy doing. But at the end of the day, it is also one of the phone calls that I get the most from customers. So happy customers. That's it. Now, I don't know how well you can see it. In fact, you probably couldn't see it at all now. Okay, so I just did this little corner over here. I'm going to move, I'm going to start working my way around towards the window over here. Let's see. Move my setup here. And again, I can't stress this enough. Like a little bit of paint here goes a long way. You really don't need much. Really don't. And then I like to run the paint one direction, one consistent stroke with the brush, and then go back over with a wider angle. So like you do your little cut there in the corner, right? Like that. And then come back through on the second run with the wide angle. And again, don't go crazy with this. Um, don't go crazy wide. Main reason being you're gonna end up rolling it anyway. But you do want to make sure that you have ample coverage here. Because if your coverage isn't good for the cut in, it's not going to line up when you go to actually roll the wall. So you kind of want to make sure you got it covered very well. Um, Cut in stuff, it's there again. It's one of those things you want to do this once. You don't want to do this more than once because it is time consuming. It's very, very time consuming. So you want to get it done right the first time. Give yourself plenty of cover. Like you can go back over the same spot a couple times. It's not a problem. But make sure that these areas are very well covered because anything that bleeds through when it's dry, you're going to have to go back through and do again. And like I said, this is the most time consuming part of the paint process. And if it's not well coated and covered, it's going to show and you're going to be mad that you have to do it again. Ask me how I know. I've done it before. I'm trying to teach you guys something so you don't make the mistakes that I did. it it helps, believe me. It helps. Now, you can cut in around this. Like, there's no trim on this window here. So you can kind of take your brush and go over it. I guess I forgot there's a little bracket here for the shade that I took down. So I will go back over and get that um, before too long. Again, you just want to make sure you have enough coverage here that you don't have to go back and do it again. Cannot stress that enough. Anybody that's listening to this right now, believe me, take my word for it. You do not want to have to cut in more than once. Once is bad enough. You don't want to do it twice. Trust and believe me. If you've never listened to anybody with anything before, trust me when I tell you, this is not something that you want to do more than once. Just, again, because it takes so long to do. The guy figured, let me start on the hard part, let me do the ceiling, get that cut, do all the windows and stuff. Because once that's cut in, the rest of it's all groundwork. Like, I'm not on a ladder or a step stool at that point, which is, again, very helpful because you don't have another obstacle to contend with once you're on the ground. Well, ground, floor, whatever you want to call it. I ain't going to steer you wrong, I promise. You might also notice something you're not seeing here is painter's tape. I got away from using painter's tape years ago. Reason being, if you have a relatively steady hand, there's no reason to use it. I can't tell you how many jobs I did where I spent hours just with tape. Not to mention the money. I mean, my God, painter's tape is insanely expensive. I don't know if you've seen the prices for that stuff as of late, but it's like seriously crazy money. So if you have one less expense to contend with, that also helps a lot. The other thing I want to touch on here for a second with cutting in around these windows, like every single house that I've ever done, the corners are never perfectly um, they're never perfectly dealt with in terms of the drywall and the finish work. So I find it is way, way easier to go through and just touch all this stuff by hand. Yes, I am going to roll this as well, but I find it is much, much easier to go through and touch this stuff up by hand real quick because it fills in any little imperfections and dents and divots and stuff that you have in the drywall finish. And it looks so much nicer when it's done. Yeah, it's a little harder, a little more time consuming, but it's worth it because at the end result shows that you spent the time and you were dedicated to your craft, and that's good. That's what you want. Now, I am going to, you know what? I'm going to wait on this. I'm going to come back to that. I'm okay with doing that. I want to keep moving here because there's a lot of area to cut in here. A lot. You got the whole ceiling still to do. And after the ceiling, then you got the whole, all the baseboards, the door trim, all that stuff. So there's still a significant amount to cut here. And of course, like everything else in life, there's ways to make it easier on yourself. Now, what I will tell you guys is what I'm painting right now, this is the actual color that the walls are going to be. It is the actual color that the walls are going to be. All the cut-in stuff it's invaluable. That's how important it is to do this. Very, very important. And just take your time. Don't rush. Because when you rush, it shows. It really does. Um, I used to really run through paint jobs. I don't particularly like to paint. It's not my favorite thing in the world. But I will say it's a good job And it's a very, very big selling point for most people. Like if you're good at painting, you'll have work year round because it doesn't have to be weather dependent. Yeah, of course, you don't want to paint when when it's 100% humidity inside or out, really, for all that matters. The humidity really screws with it and takes it that much longer to dry. Um, but at the end of the day, you got to make hay while the sun shines, right? So that's what we're doing. We are making hay, very slowly making hay, and that's okay. Well, the other reason to spend the time on this, and I think I already touched on this, but if I didn't, I will again. Um, you spend the time on it now, and then you don't have to worry about your your colors matching up. Like when you go to roll the walls, you're gonna know right away how well your cut in was done, um, because you're gonna actually see the difference. You will absolutely see the difference on this and be like, whoa, okay. Now, what I am going to do is this particular part of the ceiling here is going to be painted the same color as the wall. So I will go through real quick and just run this along. Run this along the seam here, as much as possible. Like this part isn't anywhere near as important as the rest of the wall structure. You actually almost expect a little bit of overlay here. Doesn't. I mean, still, again, take your time with it. Don't be in a rush to get it done. But like that part does not have to be absolutely flawless, whereas the rest of the wall system really kind of does. Only because it's the expectation that this is going to get painted the same color, and drywall seams are notoriously never perfect in terms of lining up against each other. So you have a little bit of wiggle room on that. But again, don't take advantage of that. Just do a nice job the first time. Do your best work, not your lazy way out work. Trust me, you'll be much happier with the results, and so will your customer. Everybody will be much happier with it if you do it the right way the first go. Coming up to a tri corner here. Now, I always try and give myself a little more than I really need. Like I can still see a little bit of show through here, not much. Particularly around corners and edges, though. Like I think this is a 2-inch brush. Tells you right on the handle. I was just too stupid to look. Um, so when you do your cuts and you do your cut ends like this, make sure you do yourself a favor. Um, it's great to do the exact width of the brush. It's also okay to fan it out a little bit further because at the end of the day, the end of the roller goes in the pan and then it goes up on the wall. And sometimes you don't want that piece of plastic or whatever it is, you don't want that to hit the end of the corner. So it's okay to like fan it out a little ways. A lot of people don't do that. I happen to be one of a few that does, just because I would rather spend the time doing it now than hitting it with the end of the roller and then being pissed off later because, oh well, now I got to go back through and fix that because it looks like shit. So spend the time. Again, can't stress that enough. Don't rush it. Trust the process. Spend the time. Do it right. You will thank yourself immensely for it later, and your customers will too, because it's going to show that you spent the time and you're dedicated to your craft and you're getting it done and you're doing it right the first time. There's nothing worse than You get the whole wall, you get the whole room painted, right? And again, when I first started out, this happened to me. You get everything painted. You think it's perfect. Well, of course you do. You're the guy getting paid. So you are going to think that it's perfect no matter what. But at the end of the day, what you think doesn't matter. It's all your customer. So if your customer comes in and they look at it and they say, "Oh my God, that's the worst paint job I've ever seen in my life. Blind people could do it better." Well, that tells me that you didn't spend any time doing your prep work, and also they're clearly not happy with it. So what do you do then? Well, the obvious answer is, what do you do then? You either A, give them their money back, or B, you make it right and you do it over again. And I don't know about you, but I'm not in the business of doing things more than what I'm supposed to. So we do it right the first time, and then we don't have to worry about that. That just makes sense. Well, at least I think it does anyway. Some people probably don't. Some people are probably, oh, well, it's impossible to please everybody. And while I do agree with that sentiment, let me touch on that for a minute. It is impossible to please everyone. That is true. Um, but at the end of the day, you shouldn't have to please everyone. Your work should speak for itself. And if it does, and it's in a positive way, that means people are going to hire you to do it again. Whether it's the same job, the same customer, the same place, that none of that matters. That's all immaterial. The important part is you got repeat business, whether it's from that customer or someone else that they know that they said, "Hey, Steve did such a great job painting our mother-in-law's room that, you know, we would hire him to do anything else, paint related or whatever." I mean, in this scenario, I'm doing the paint work. I'm also doing the framing. I'm doing the closet doors. There's a lot going on here. Um, while I'm standing here at this window, let me kind of give you an idea of what I'm doing. This window, there is not a lot of room in this dormer here. So what I'm doing is I'm going through and I'm doing this all by hand. Um, Primary reason being it's very tight. It is incredibly tight of a spot to get in with a roller. I may still touch it with a roller, but it won't be anything near as significant as what I'm doing right now. Um, but that happens sometimes. I try to avoid that, just because I don't like seeing brush marks in paint. But at the end of the day, sometimes it's unavoidable. You have a situation like this. Yeah, you could get a small, oh, excuse me, you could get a small roller and do it that way if you were really, really so inclined. Um, I would actually prefer the brush marks over a smaller roller. For an area like this, you're not paying a whole lot of attention to. It's above a window in a dormer. You're not scrutinizing every single little thing about it, but you still want it to be nice. So again, I can't stress this enough. Just do it right, do it nice, take your time. It's no rush. Like, you might be in a rush, but a rush on your part does not constitute an emergency on mine. So please don't rush when you're doing a job for somebody. Just take the time, do it right, do it do it the first time, and then you never have anything to worry about. Because if you don't, trust me, you end up doing it again. And if you end up doing it again, then you're losing money because you didn't do it right the first time. You didn't just spend the time you needed and do it right the first go. How's everybody doing today? I'm currently over here painting a wall, so if you guys are commenting on stuff, I can't see it at the moment. But I will come back over in a minute and check and see if anybody's talking. Forgive me, I'm just trying to keep moving on this. There's a lot to do here, whole lot, and I still have Now, of course, rolling the walls is the easy part. That'll be quick. It always is. Still a substantial amount of cut in to do though. Again, I'm doing all the high parts and whatnot right now. And now that I'm looking at this, I actually touch this a little more than I am. Come down a little bit here. Um, Only because it is, again, it's a very tight dormer, and I don't want to get brush marks on the ceiling after after spending the time to do this. It's the worst. It really kind of sucks that way. Again, same deal over here. Just nice stroke, cross. I mean, honestly, the brush does everything for you. You're just holding it. It's kind of beautiful in that way. It's like poetry. You just keep on moving here, nice and slow, slow and steady. This does require some degree of a steady hand, though. I will say that. So if you do not trust yourself to have a steady enough grip on a paintbrush, do not do this. Don't do it this way, anyhow. And if you're questioning it for even a minute, believe me, just get the painter's tape and call it a day. It's not worth it because you will very likely end up screwing that up, and it's not worth spending the extra time and money to go back through and do it again. Or if you're well off enough, you could always hire somebody to do it for you. That's totally. You know what? I'm gonna go live on Facebook for a while. I'll check in with you guys.